Hi folks, welcome in. Seven Rivers Racing, KQEG TV. I'm Dan Dyker along with Al Losi. We finally got a week number one in at the Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway. Do want to mention really quickly, though, I made a trip down to Madison this past weekend. Was going to go down for the 4th annual Joe Shear Classic. Just when I got into Madison, the rain had washed things away. Chris Weinkoff, Jeff Storm putting down 17.4, some very fast laps. Chris Wimmer, 17.5, so three good ASA drivers right off the bat there. Andrew Morrissey and Steve Carlson were not there. Of course, Morrissey was last year's champ in the ASAs. Hope to see if they go back. They've rescheduled it for next Saturday, the 4th annual Joe Shear Classic at Madison International Speedway. Qualifying is at 1:10. Racing will be starting at 2:30. That's ASA Midwest Tour and the late models from Madison. So I want to make sure to get that in there. Was looking forward to going down. I never had a chance to see that race before.
Always a good race.
Well, we got things underway at the Crosse Speedway. After all the rain, no qualifying. Actually, it started 15 minutes late, so it was an outstanding night. We do want to thank all the folks that braved Mother Nature. We're going to jump right into the program today. 42 Hornet cars showing up, and this was had to been one of the most action-packed season openers since I've been at La Crosse.
And one of the reasons why it's such a action-packed racing that all night long was not only the full moon, but coming into tonight's race, everybody's in first place for the championship points.
Well, 42 cars turned out. We had so many Hornets. We had two different features. Winning the first feature kind of surprised me because he didn't let me know he was going to be racing Saturday night. Kim Strom in the 66 just pretty much took apart and blew away the field in his feature. Last year's Thunderstock champion was Andy Moore. He is in the number 90 More for Less Auto ride this year. Of course, Matt Moore, who's been driving that car, went on to a win as well. You see Strom right down there getting rid of the crazy frog. I tell you, Kim was very strong that night. And again, we're going to show you what happened here. You want to keep your eyes on the 90 car of Andy Moore. I knew during the offseason he was going to put this car together and cruised on to a win. He took Jeff Thompson all the way down into the corners. This is the final lap right here. On the back straightaway, Jeff got a little bit loose coming out of turn 2, and Moore went to the inside. Jeff a little bit too far outside, went out for the win. I have to say that was probably the best race I've ever seen Jeff Thompson run.
And not just Jeff. A lot of them are becoming much better racers. I think it's because they're racing a lot more. They're getting a lot more seat time under their belts, and the quality of racing has just improved a lot in that class.
On to the Thunderstock division at La Crosse Speedway. The win had gone to Chris Webber, as you'll see here in the 97. He had a nice night all night long, winning a heat race. But at the very end, Webber was disqualified. He had a problem with the battery placement, was on the wrong side of the car. So right behind him was the number 8 of racing, Jason Bolster, out of Sparta, Wisconsin. And then Bolster goes on to pick up the first win. You see Adam Moore right there in contention throughout the entire evening. It was nice to see Wayne Smith back in the pack this year. A rookie, Jacinda Paff, came out, did a nice job. Sammy Linehan really impressed me as well, as she took 4th, I think, not only in the heat race, but also the feature race. So a couple of rookies out there of the Femme Fatale doing a nice job.
And I just love it when they get out there and everybody has fun, and there is no gender gap. The ladies can run with the men and the men can run with the ladies, and I think that's actually a great thing for the sport.
Of course, Linehan in the Hornets and Paff in the Thunderstocks. Let's go on to a happy birthday feature win in the sportsman class to Greg Scheck. Scheck had some problems during a heat race. I guess they had some wires crossed, when I understood. Got that changed before the feature, went on to win. But first off, Jake Arneson, it was interesting. I think the rain shaped things out. He was involved in a wedding party, and we're going to talk about that right here. So he left the track, came back, and then went on to this right here. Arneson, of course, was racing a couple of races with one hand last year after breaking his arm. And this melee right here in the corner involved a fluffy Joe Reinertz and Brandon Berg. 5 cars total in that accident right there. So bad that Arneson, who had a beautifully wrapped car, taken away on both hooks.
And it is so tough to go to a wedding and enjoy that and then get to the racetrack and refocus and then leave and then go back to the track. The amount of focus it takes is quite extraordinary.
Well, Greg Scheck, going back to his win You could tell he had things taken care of as they headed into the feature of this one here, 15-lap feature, and just raced around everybody for the win. I do have to admit, one of the fast cars that impressed me, Rick Schermerhorn was back. Boy, did he work his way up through the field as he was in the hunt. Matt Englert, what a sharp-looking 27. I call his numbers, if you look at him, it's the Hulk smash, as they look like they're breaking apart. Schermerhorn is really going to add a lot to this field this year. Of course, Danny Gilster was not out there. That's Jimmy Gilster's old car, as a matter of fact. And Brian Hesselberg was very strong as well, but Greg Scheck got himself a birthday present by going on for the feature win. Steve Bachman looked good. Chad Rosendahl looked really strong. Humfeld was outstanding. I mean, this is a loaded sportsman's field this year, and it's going to be anybody's guess on who's going to be picking up feature wins. I don't see a repetitive feature winner like you might sometimes in the late model class, but man, that was a good race and a good way for Scheck to start out 2012. Into the late models, the NASCAR late models, outstanding race here as well. Steve Carlson started, I think, in the 6th row, did his typical in fashion. I'm going to work my way up and see what happens. Todd Korish was a part of this mix right here. Another one that we were watching was Mark Lamoureux. He and Jay Herbst had a battle going on. Then it was Herbst and Korish going back and forth, Brent Kirchner going back and forth. And in the end of this one here, Brad Powell got by Adam Degenhardt and cruised to about a half-track lead and win. Also had 4 brand new tires. Yes. You may want to keep that as a note. But this was an interesting finish. It was Brad Powell winning the race, followed by Steve Carlson and son Mike Carlson. You know, we talked a lot about Mike Carlson last year. We were waiting to see when his machine would show up. It finally did, went on to a feature win, and this year was just outstanding. I mean, what a way for Mikey Carlson to start his season.
Mike has these moments of brilliance where he just runs the heck out of it, and sometimes it almost depends on where he starts the feature. If he can start up front, he can stay with anybody. If he starts in the middle of the pack, he is a good driver, and he doesn't try to move people over, and he's very conscientious of that. And I think that this year, maybe he's going to be able to get around people.
Well, Mark Lamoureux, driving in Jay Herbst's backup car, finished 7th and also went on to a heat race win. So one of the most exciting season openers at the Crosse Speedway. And congratulations again, Brad Powell, Greg Scheck, Jason Bolster, Kim Strom, and Andy Moore picking up feature wins, and all the fans that stuck with us through what we thought was going to be a rain-shortened night, and we actually got the entire program in.
It turned out to be a nice night.
It did. It was outstanding. Mother's Day weekend is coming up this weekend. It's Christian Farm Nursery Night at the Crosse Speedway. We'll bring in the late models, Sportsman Thunderstock, the Hornets, and the Queen Bees. Gonna let the Femmes have a chance at getting into a Hornet car, driving around the quarter-mile action track. So make sure Mother's Day weekend, all escorted ladies are going to be getting in for free. It's a customary trait at the La Crosse Speedway. Coming up on the program, 2012 teammates. We've talked about this at length during the beginning of the race show this year. And 2 of those that are going to be in contention this year are Mr. Consistent Todd Korish and Adam Degenhardt. They're coming up on the program as Al and I take you to a break and come right back on Seven Rivers Racing KQEG TV.